Hey Facebook. I can't actually see when anyone comes on, so I'm wondering if I should wait a few minutes. I'm not sure how to send this into groups. Share. Maybe I should just roll. So today is a conversation about shamanic wealth creation. What is shamanic wealth creation? So basically, this is something that I've been delving into, and it's something that I really wanted to share with everyone, especially for people who really feel connected to like building wealth in a like spiritual way, where people that really feel things, people that kind of see through veils, because that's really what a shaman is, and that's what shamanic wealth creation is. It's like the ability to see through veils, and often that veil, you can think that that veil is you know, the other worlds, like the spirit world, the yeah, I guess the spirit world is probably the most obvious veil, but there's also, hey Chandra, there's also different veils between like different energies. So there's a veil between, if you're wanting to create, let's say, wealth, for example, because that's what this live is about, there's a veil between your energy and the energy of wealth. And this is really what I feel shamanic wealth creation is actually about. It's really about the ability, and first of all, like the very first step of shamanic wealth creation is for, hey Mandy, is I believe for people to accept their shamanic nature and their true power. And I think this is really challenging because it's not something that we're taught in schools. It's not the general way things are done. And for most people who do have a shamanic nature, who identify with like kind of being witchy, or, you know, just see things naturally, or connect with symbols or images, or, you know, like live very intuitively, our world isn't set up for that orientation. So we have to create it. Like we have to and the first step is to really, for us to step into our power and own that. And most people, I would say everyone who identifies with these labels and orients themselves in a way where they do you feel like, this is what I'm here to embody, teach and share too. Yes, yeah, totally. This is exactly what I feel. And I think the first step for people like you and people like me is to I find there's such a challenge in like really embodying that power and really owning what that means. And what I have found with myself, and this is what I wanted to share today, is that I've known this my whole life. It's not like a new thing that's just dropped in for me. And for some people it might be like that, but for me it's not. Like I've always known. I've always had a massive vision to change the world. I've always known that I'd be working with magic. I've always been into frequency, vibration and energy. I've always seen life like that. And that part of me was quite crushed when I was younger, which I feel like most people are, unless you had parents. It's only really now, like our generation, us as parents who grew up in that like kind of squashed environment, who are raising children where this is like a lot more natural, a lot more normal. And it's part of like, well, for me, it's part of the way that I teach my child, and part of the language that I teach my child, and you know, like the real simplicity of magic and living in that world, and just accepting that that's the way things are. And yeah, the biggest challenge for us, I feel, is like owning it and staying in it. And I just want to bring in like a little bit of quantum physics, just so I can create a picture for you, and you can understand what it means to stay in this vision, to like really bring that power down, so we can embody it and we can bring it into the world. So in the realm of quantum physics, there are like, they've done this experiment like a million times, maybe not a million, but many, many times. And the experiment is that a scientist is standing watching, they're splitting atoms. And when they split the atoms, the particles can either go left or the particles can go right. And this is in the quantum field. If the scientist is concentrating on the particles going left, the particles will go left. If the scientist isn't concentrating, they're going to go anywhere. And like they can go 50-50 either way. And when she or he takes his concentration off and his focus off, so he's literally influencing which way these particles are going, then you know, like his mind on the quantum field, his intention, his influences where those particles are going to go. And what we're not trained in is how to stay in ownership of our shamanic nature. And so it's like the scientist, so imagine we're the scientist in this explanation, it's like the scientist leaving that experiment, so then everything can go where we want. If we are focused and if we can really like move through and keep our power in our solar plexus, in our sacral, in our root chakra, because for most people who have a very shamanic nature, like up here, pretty much to the heart, it's all good. Like, you know, there's going to be things that come in and out, but most of those chakras, most of the time, we have real clarity. We have, you know, like, it's not that hard for us to get creative ideas. It's not that hard for us to, like, you know, get like super intuitive, but it's like bringing it down below the heart. It's like, and when you think of that metaphysically, it makes so much sense, because we live in these realms of like imaginary creation, and we see things, but often they don't actually translate, or they're very hard for us to like bring through into matter. And that's the lower chakras. And what I have noticed is that, and this is something that some work that I've been doing with my mentor lately, is that we have so much fear around truly taking ownership of our shamanic nature, and truly taking ownership of our vision. Even when we're doing all the things, we're saying we're doing all the things, and we're like taking all the steps, there's a part of us, there's an aspect of our consciousness, and there's an aspect of our energy that steps back for more than 51% of the time. And the reason why is because if that toy, like if that project isn't really truly 100% ours, if we're not fully owning it, if we don't get it, if that doesn't eventuate, if that doesn't happen, then it's not as bad of a loss as if we like put our whole energy out, we let it drop in, we really choose it, and we allow that power to just fully land. So this is a game of awareness, and once you start noticing this, you will see, I promise you, you will see it everywhere. It's not just about your vision, it's about, it will be everywhere. It'll be in layers all around your life, and this is the gap of where is my magic? Where does my magic need to be? Where do I need to bring my awareness? And your awareness, that is your magic. Your truth, that your super conscious awareness, and your like ability to really be that scientist, and making sure that atom goes, that split atom goes the way that you're wanting it to go. That's where the power is. Like, that's where the truth is. And the first step, I wrote down some steps because I knew that I'd forget them. I knew that I'd forget them when I started talking. I just kind of go off in like a million directions. But the things that I've been focusing on the last like week or so that I wanted to share with everyone, of like how I drop into that power, because what I notice is that those lower chakras, every time I'm going for something, it's like my energy just pops out. Like it's a real training, because there's so much stored up fear of like the rejection, the pain, I mean, when I even think about it, when you think of like being in a family environment and a society environment of like that not being accepted, and like this is very subtle, like I mean this is like layers deep of unconscious beliefs and limiting factors. And what was I saying? Yeah, so take your time. That was my first thing. How to bring your power back, and how to bring your power back into those lower chakras. Like, how do you actually bring that vision down? And obviously the first step is to fully take control of your magic. Like, open to receive that you have the same capacity as anyone else. Like, in consciousness, there is an equality. It's not success. What I've learned and what I've learned from my mentors and in my experience is that success isn't personal. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about our gifts. It's structural. Like, it's about knowing what your gifts are and knowing exactly where you are and holding the tension to have that resolve in the direction of your vision as opposed to the direction of your unconscious beliefs. So what I've been doing this week is really every morning waking up and stepping into that power, into the depth of that power, and allowing that, like literally like really focusing on my solar plexus as if it were a sun, and taking the time. And this, I mean, talk about shamanic wealth creation. This is a shamanic process, because I mean we are a holographic extension of the universe. Like, the universe is inside us. We're inside of the universe, as above, so below. So yeah, I like fully imagine the sun in my chest as like a symbol of that power, and like really giving my power to my solar plexus and calling my power back. I also use my Healy. And it's really interesting when I focus on my lower chakras and I do an aura scan. It's my lower chakras that come up, and it gives me a list of all the things that are moving, that are like so accurate of like where my power is going and why it's going. So I also use microcurrents, but I also use visualization and just bringing my breath, like really slowing down and bringing my breath down, like all the way down to my root chakra, so that it's like my breath gets to align my chakras and align my energy. And it's the simple things that bring your magic back. Magic is simple, magic is easy, but it's the time, it's like, it's the effort, it's your will, it's really choosing a different way. And sometimes it's easier to just say that you did it and not do it, or pretend that you did it, or, you know, like lose your focus. This is a, like, shamanic wealth creation is a game of focus. It's really like, where is your focus? Is your power in your shamanic nature? Is your power in your magic, or is it somewhere else? So the first thing I do, and the most obvious thing I do, is really allow myself to take that deep breath and bring my breath like all the way down, and I visualize it getting down to my root chakra. And as I said before, like, it can pop out of that really quickly. So in the beginning, when you're really training yourself into like trusting your shamanic person, being that shamanic nature, being that magical person, it takes a while for you to viscerally trust that. Like, your muscles, your neurology, your nervous system isn't wired. It isn't wired initially. Like, at this stage, for me, at this stage of my life, it's not wired. Like, it's wired to reject that, because it has been rejected. I've rejected it. People have rejected it for so long. So it's really about relaxing and calming your nervous system to allow that truth to like sink into your body. And what that looks like is your breath going all the way down to your perineum. The second thing I do is recognize where the power is. When you're leaving your shamanic nature, when you're going for something and you're not getting it, when shit's going wrong, what's really happening? Like, where is your power? Like, this is a what's the word? Not an exercise. This is I suppose it is an exercise. This is an exercise of your will. And your will is the mechanism that you use to focus where is your focus? Because, you know, like, your limiting beliefs and your shamanic nature are operating at exactly the same time. Exactly the same time. They both exist, like, alongside each other every single time. But it's you and your will, and using, like, where are you going to shine your light? Where are you going to put the truth of your consciousness? Where are you going to shine the light of your consciousness today? How will you direct your energy? Will you choose that, yes, I do have a shamanic nature and I do want to create wealth consciously, and this is my end result, and that leads me to that's a bridge to the next thing that I do, like, really, really using your will, because all the stuff is going to come up, but it's you and your choice of your will, of where you're directing that power, that's going to make the difference. That's the only thing that's going to make the difference. So recognizing where the power is, and for me it was recognizing that I literally, and I'm giving it to you, like, you literally, when your power is in your withdrawing, you're checking out, and the power's not going all the way down to the bottom, where the power is for you, if that's happening, is your power is in not taking ownership. So when you're not taking ownership, your subconscious mind is going, yeah, she says she wants this, but she doesn't, because look where she's giving the power. She's giving the power to checking out. Like, she's not jumping on and doing the live. She's not doing, you know, like, all the things that she knows that she can do. She's, like, finding ways around it to do it. So it's really like recognizing where your power is, recognizing that the power, if you're giving your power to not taking ownership, like, more than 51% of the time, then that's what's going to be created, is the opposite of what you want. The third thing that I do when I recognize I'm using my will, I've said, yep, okay, I'm open to receive my power, my shamanic nature. I'm recognizing where the power is. I'm recognizing that I have been giving my power to not owning something. Now I'm going to bring my power in. I've taken those deep breaths, and I really tune into what I really want. Like, what's the essence, what's the truth of what I'm wanting to create? And often it changes, but often it's like freedom and peace, and, you know, like, it's just this real feeling of contentment. And I think of, like, the emotion of that. Like, what is the emotion of that? Because emotion is so, so, so powerful. And even though, like, we're trained in alchemy that thoughts and feelings aren't real, which is true, we can use the power of emotion, because emotion is energy in motion. We can use the power of our emotions to really anchor ourselves into what we're wanting to create. So in the morning when I wake up, I write in my journal, I'm like, what are the 4 things that I'm wanting to create over the next 88 days? I'm doing an 88-day container, and they're powerful, they're magic, power, magic, and connectedness and peace. And if you sit for 2-3 minutes and tune into those, only those, and you'll feel the energy of what you're creating lift. Like, when you're sitting into that and you're allowing those emotions to actually inform, they will change your chemistry, they'll change your hormones, they'll change the way you're thinking, they'll change what you can access, they'll change what you think is possible. So conditions that were previously perhaps really challenging or stressful, when you're in the energy of those emotions, have different outcomes, because the frequency is different. Like, as we established earlier, all these frequencies are happening at the same time. So when you're tuning into higher frequencies, when you're allowing yourself to jump into those higher frequencies, then you have the capacity to make the choices as that shaman. You have the capacity to, and like I said, at first, you may have to just keep doing it. Like, the lid keeps popping off, you know? But it's a practice, and it's using your will. Really using your will, just choosing it and being like, okay, I feel this tension. I feel like there's so much resistance and there's tension. And know that that tension is going to help you to create what you want. You don't need to get rid of that tension. You don't need to change it. It's not there to tell you that you're on the wrong track. It's like, the world is like, creative mastery comes from being able to harness that tension and allowing that tension to, like, propel you and the wisdom into your end result. And the wisdom can look like, I know what to do next, or this person came into my life and I had this conversation, or I just feel more powerful and now I can write something really powerful, and I can, you know, I'm more connected to my creative orientation. Wisdom comes in many different forms, but it always comes in favor of your vision if you hold it. The fourth thing is to really recognize that it's you. And I think this is an obvious one, but really taking responsibility for, like, okay, this is happening. Look at the proof in the pudding. Like, look at what's come before you, and where is the truth? Like, where has your truth always lied? Like, you have these results or you don't have those results. The proof is always in the pudding. So look at where the proof is. Look at what you've created has told you, and really own it. Like, own where you are right now. There's no shame in your current reality ever. But there is power in full responsibility of what's happening, and there is power in owning that. Yeah, it's like, it's a game changer. And the last one is to just own, and it's kind of connected to the first one, is like, so this is my process. I'm like, yep, it's me. This is what I'm doing. This is the next step. This is what I have to do. I'm tuning into the emotion. I'm recognizing where the power is. And then it's really owning your greatness. Like, really be like, okay, this is what I'm here to do. Like, really, really, really own it, and tune in and see what your greatness speaks. Your greatness is you, and it's the greater part of who you are, and there's nothing you have to do to deserve it except choose it. And when you choose it and you allow it to speak into your life and what you're doing, and not like frantically going around doing things, but really like stopping and slowing down and having moments and pausing, and then going forward in your projection so that you can build, like really focus and be present in every step of the way of what you're creating. So that's what I do. That is how I bring my power back into my lower chakras, very shamanically. Like, it's quite visual, especially with the breath and with the sun and like the ways that I'm moving. Oh, thanks, darling. The great info. So yeah, I just wanted to jump on and share that with you guys today. Shamanic wealth creation. It's definitely something that I'll be talking about a lot more. Thank you so much for jumping on. If you have questions, let me know. I do have a Facebook group as well, which I'm adding people into, just where I'll be sharing this kind of information and different exercises and PDFs and stuff like that. So have a beautiful day, beautiful people. Mwah.